We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
With global pals, it's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
Everything theater. We're going to need a new song soon, I think, Ellen. Hi, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And, you know, we just might have to ask Justin Friello for a little new music, a little new night music.
Exactly, yes.
He's
If he's
been
not
playing-
busy with his, because we last spoke to him, he was working on a musical of his own.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
seen some postings from him, and he's been very busy. So
Mhm.
if you see him performing anywhere, you know, buy a ticket, show up, be there. And I would just have to ask you, you've got a great show coming up. You're over at Capitol Rep in the Midsummer Night's Dream. You just got underway with rehearsals. Give us a little inside skinny scoop.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be such a fun time. Like everybody's just got a big smile on their face the whole rehearsal through, even though we're rehearsing, 8-hour days, everybody's laughing and smiling the whole time. So it's going to be a blast. And it's April 14th through May 7th at the Rep. So come check us out. If you like
Can't
Shakespeare, it's the best Shakespeare to see, especially if you're, like, I don't know Shakespeare. It's going to be a good time. Come check it out.
It's, I dare say, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
It, because it's just a little of everything. It's fun, and maybe it was, in some ways, it was reality TV before reality TV.
It's very relatable.
Right? So yeah, definitely buy a ticket. We've got our guests tonight are in the process of building a musical, and they're not your typical writers of musicals. We've got Dr. Kim Kilby with us. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
And Katherine Ambrosio. Nice to have you both join us. And I said to Katherine as we got started, so what is it you do? Because Kim, I know, is a physician and a runner. She and I have partnered with Fleet Feet for a walking program to help folks get started, Ellen. But Katherine is a standardized patient over at Albany Med. A lot of folks don't know what that is. So before we get into your musical writing, Katherine, give us a sense of what it is you do. So many local performers are involved there, and why is it so important?
Well, because it gives the students experience, hands-on experience with a simulated doctor-patient interview and physical. Sometimes they have to give us bad news and we cry, and they try not to fall apart too. And it's a dress rehearsal for real life. And they can practice their interview skills and their physical exam skills. And they also, we emphasize communication and the importance of it and choosing your words wisely. So it's
You get
very
good health care because of it, Katherine?
I'm sorry.
You get good health care because of it?
Oh, well, I don't know. Sometimes they give me their advice, but they're still little baby docs. So, but they're all great kids.
Now, is that how you and Dr. Kilby got to cross paths, or did you know each other in another life?
No, we didn't meet there, oddly enough, or we have a lot of mutual friends there. And she actually graduated the year I started working there 20 years ago. But we met doing a play last year called The Waverly Gallery. And it's by Kenneth Lonergan. It was a Pulitzer Prize finalist. And it was about this woman named Gladys who owned an art gallery. And it was the author's actual grandmother and the story of his family. And Kim played a doctor, a psychiatrist.
I did.
Play. And we bonded because it was terrifying to learn those lines. It was really, really a tough play to learn. because
Yeah.
people were talking over each other. There were a lot of non sequiturs. And so that was the
And
beginning.
Gladys, your character, Catherine, your character Gladys had Alzheimer's. So she kept repeating words and phrases over and over, but slightly different each time. And to really, you know, sort of honor the text and get it right. You know, it was a super challenging role, I think, and Catherine did a wonderful job, because that was a unique kind of memorization activity that you had to do. And
Well, you did a wonderful job as my daughter, and she affectionately still calls me mommy.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just want to tell a little, can I just tell a little tale from the show? So Kim would make these signs and put them on the flats, behind the flats. So we would always know what scene we were doing and what lines we started out with, because they were quite repetitive. And standing backstage before opening night, she said to me, "This is the hardest thing I've ever done." And I went, "Wait, harder than med school?" And she said, "Yes." So I still don't know if she was really sincere about that, but it was very difficult. And we were, you know, forever will be friends from that experience.
I think I said I've done a lot of hard things, and this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we met, and it's weird that we hadn't really met before, because I've also worked
Yeah.
at Albany Med, and you know, came back years after graduating med school and everything. So yeah, it was wonderful. It was a great happenstance type of thing to have that happen.
So from that point, did you both just say, "Hey, let's write a musical"? How did that come to be?
Oh, well, I mean, so I have had an idea in my head for a really long time, but also had a very sort of full career life, professional, you know, doctory work life, and spent many years just sort of lamenting not doing something about it and sort of feeling frustrated. And I think, you know, me going to even try to audition and be in that play was kind of dipping my toe back into, like, how can I fit this into my life and fit it back into my life, because it was part of my life a long time ago. But and so then I think what I realized is, like, I just, like, stop complaining about it, stop feeling frustrated, just start doing, like, figure it out 10 minutes at a time, you know, wherever it's going to fit. And so I just started writing, and I think then that makes it real. And it was real to the point that then I could even start talking about it to others. And then that's actually how I think at some point there, Catherine, I shared, you know, hey, I'm writing a musical, and I have no experience with writing plays, and so musicals are complicated because you need a story, and that story needs to be written in dialogue by a playwright or a book writer. And so I think that at one point I just started saying that, you know, I'm writing this musical, but I'm doing composing and lyricist, but I'm not a book writer. So yeah, and then from there you're like, huh, you are? And I knew Katherine wrote plays. So so that's it, sort of unfolded from there.
Right. I gave her a couple of things to read to make sure she wasn't making a bad decision. And
So
Like
there's a
other
lot of-
plays, or
so
I'm sorry, Ellen, please.
was it what were the things you gave her to read? Were they other plays, or were they examples?
yes, I have a play called The Tin Man that I've been working on for quite a few years. And it just so happens it was in development with the theater company in Saugerties. And we had done 3 readings of it. The final reading that we did was in New York City. Kim was there in the audience. It was so great to have her along because it was a little nerve-wracking. But it's about a man who needs a heart transplant to go on living, and his journey waiting for that heart.
So
And
I was going to say, there's a lot to unpack from what you said. So Ellen got to you writing your play, Catherine, but Kim, you're a lyricist, you write music
Yeah.
on top of all of this?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta doing professional and community theater from the time I was 7 to about when I was a teenager and wanted to be normal and work at the grocery store. So like I I definitely spent my childhood doing being that was like my life. It was similar to sort of I think what you all experience now, 8 shows a week, but you know, in school and things like that. Then when I went to college, I actually attended Union College and I was a music major there. And my professor said, you should not go to medical school. You should go to music school. And I was 21 and had been accepted to medical school. And of course, did what most 21-year-olds would probably do, the sort of conscientious choice, and trotted off to med school. And you know, you get on that train and it goes for so long, like to get through everything. And of course, you know, I enjoyed that whole process, but then you end up with a bunch of debt and it's very hard. You know, you have to like work your way sort of out from under all of that, and that takes a long time. So the way that I kept sort of artistic things in my life is that I did more sort of like singer-songwriter, local music type of things. Had a band at one point, and that was good because you could just sort of like tack it on to everything else. And then it wasn't until more recently that I really kind of said, gosh, I really miss sort of being involved more with theater and sort of rounding out that experience. And if I think about it and sort of winnow it down to the things that I really enjoy doing, it's songwriting and storytelling. So that really fits nicely with musical theater. So yeah, so it's been a long road to stay connected and to sort of now really lean into doing something and making it real. So
So tell us what the so the show is called Care.
yeah,
Tell us.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, you know, right now that's
Yeah, right
that's
now, working title.
title. Yeah.
So what inspired the story? Give us a little synopsis and then kind of where the idea percolated from.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think what the story is about an altruistic doctor who is facing the harsh reality of what it really means to provide care to other people. And in her quest to find answers, she instead finds out how to sort of create change from within. And it has to do with the fact that when you go, I think Katherine sees these mini docs when they're early on in their very sort of optimistic, altruistic phase, and they're so excited about what the field that they're going into. And then you sort of, you know, go through the process and get exposed to a lot of patterns and hierarchies that you're sort of socialized into this system that really chips away at the humanness of the thing, of the thing you're trying to do. And it just erodes how you're able to show up, or the demands and all of the sort of roadblocks that you have along the way. So what I'm really trying to get at is that a lot of times people don't remember that the people taking care of them are humans too, in need of care. So it's really told from sort of the flipped perspective. I think a lot of your medical dramas or plays are often told, you know, around patient stories. And so this is flipped to sort of really show the providers of care really as the human beings in need, and what all sort of contributes to that and how they process through it and kind of maintain their humanity.
You know, the timing on this is exquisite. Of course, as you know, that the number of docs who are leaving the profession is pretty unprecedented. In fact, there are hundreds of unfulfilled positions in the emergency department. And having just gone through what you all know, Match Day, when was it fourth year students put in for their internships,
Right.
where they're going to be matched, and still so many emergency doc positions went unfilled because of the demands, the hours, the lack of, I'm going to say, gratitude on the part of us, the community. Threats on doctors' lives now, and then overlay COVID with this. And young folks want something different from life, don't they? Than docs of your generation and generations before. So
Yeah.
the timing of this is really, as I say, exquisite, Kim.
Yeah, it's definitely changing, and there's other art forms that have really tried to tackle that complexity. And narrative medicine is a known thing. It's not everybody gets exposed to it, but that's using sort of patient stories to really help take better clinical care of folks. And it just anything that helps bring back the humanness to the work. But also I think what I'm envisioning is that really trying to connect with an audience through theater. I think reaches a different audience. Through music, you can reach different people. And so really trying to sort of bring some attention to the struggle that that doctors spend a lot of time trying to help other people live better lives, and often suffer the consequences of not being very happy or mentally well or healthy themselves. And so so there's a lot of complexity to it, but we're trying to sort of get it specific and detailed, and also tell the story in a compelling way.
But tell us a little bit about the collaboration process, having someone on book and then someone on music and lyrics and orchestrations and everything. How do you two navigate that collaborative team writing experience?
Katherine, do you want to start?
Okay. Well, I think at first Kim showed me her kind of a schematic of the different scenes she had. Oh, let me first say, Kim is extremely organized. I am not extremely organized, and she let me know from her musical comedy writing class that I'm known as what is known as a pantster, because I fly by the seat of my pants. In other words,
I said, Katherine, you're a pantser.
she still kept me on. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm a pantster because
I think we're pantsters.
I am definitely a pantser.
we fly by the seat of our pants, make it up as we go along. But I guess you could say I'm an intuitive writer. I kind of know where a story's going, but it unfolds when I'm at the computer. I have to be in the moment. And I really find when I try to plan things too much, it's very stilted. So we've got that, maybe that is going against us a little bit. I hope not. But I think maybe it can feed, our different styles feed each other. So what we do is we get together and we kind of talk about the characters. That's one of the first things we did. And we talk about what scene could happen here. And then we kind of work it out, and then I go home and write something and send it to Kim, and she typically likes it. And I think right now we're in a stage where we're digging a little deeper. But you have to start somewhere. So we got started, and I think we have some pretty good stuff.
How far along? Do you have the bones of a whole musical fleshed out? Are you still in Act 1?
We're still in Act 1, but kind of midway through Act 1. I have like 5 songs written, and then lyrics written for several others. So yeah, and the it's interesting because you've probably heard the old adage that musicals aren't written, they're rewritten. And the same goes for the story, the songs. I'm I think some of this process and learning as we go is also getting really specific about what the main character wants, and really kind of nailing that. And that usually comes across in this sort of the big I want song, where the person declares this is what I want, so that you empathize with them and connect with them, and you want to get on that journey with them and go for the ride. And so I realized that I've rewritten that 4 times, like okay, done, starting over. But it's like each time it's like, yes, okay, we're getting there, like I'm finally getting there, like where it's really is gonna, I think, hit and resonate. So that's interesting too, because you can't sort of cling to anything. I mean, you keep it all and you like stick it to the side and say, well, I can probably use this piece of music or this thematic element somewhere else. You don't throw anything away, but at the same time, you just have to sort of keep going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, I can get this, we can change this. We're inching toward where we want to go. So that's been great. And so I typically, work on pieces of music and share those with Katherine as best I can, sort of through some video clips and audio clips and all sorts of ways, or we just get together and I'm like, here, I'm going to play this for you on the computer and see what you think. And
for the record, we did ask for a clip and you said it's not ready to be unveiled. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to,
right,
all stay tuned to hear more.
right, exactly. Hmm.
Do you have a venue in mind where once you've got this done that you'd like to try it out?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think, that would be a dream to have, this in some sort of staged reading. A local theater would be fantastic. Katherine has works with Round the Bend Theater in Saugerties, and so certainly we don't have anything official yet, but that would be the next phase after we have the full draft. We would do the process like most like plays, having table reads and a few of those that help you sort of do that, and then learn from how those go, hearing it out loud, and then move to table read with an audience. And usually the way that's done with a musical is that you would have demos that you play. You don't have to perform all of the music during a table read with an audience, but you sort of play the music and then have the read happen at the same time and sort of learn from there. So yeah, I mean, that's even getting that far, I think would be really wonderful.
And it's interesting. I think, for our listeners, a lot of times people underestimate the amount of time that goes into developing a musical, even once it's written, as you said, right? It's always rewriting, but years, usually is the process of getting on its feet, workshopping it, rewrites, then getting another reading, rewrites. It's
Right.
a big commitment.
Right. And musical theater itself, I mean, so as I'm learning more and more, the advice essentially from the experts is that, in a play, you have about 20 minutes to get people sort of hooked in and to explain what's going on in this world. In a musical, you have 5 to 10. So you have your scenes, your world, your protagonists all have to be set, and the struggle very clear within the first 5 to 10 minutes. So there's also some very specific musical theater form that also, I think I've had to learn, and that Katherine is learning, and that, we're having to think through how we apply those things, because there's definitely a way. Now people vary from that way of doing of writing musicals, but I think you have to know why you're varying from sort of the usual the structure and the outline that most musicals follow. And the reason is because you have to set the reason why somebody would further the story through song. And like there's certain reasons why plays differ from musicals, and not every play can be a musical because it's not appropriate to sort of break out into singing for every topic or every character or story. So you also have to spend a lot of time thinking about how does that work, and where do the songs live in a musical, and why do they live there, and does that make sense? Because then that resonates with the audience.
To that end, Kim, things have changed. It's not your 1950s and 60s musicals where, I think about Sound of Music, South Pacific,
all the
Yeah.
Rodgers and Hammerstein. Yeah.
right, where all of a sudden, I mean, music is woven more integral into shows now. The rock, the what is it? The jukebox musicals are very popular,
Right.
and then also I think about Hadestown or
Hades Town,
Rent.
yes.
Where the music is woven in, so everything is more like an opera.
Right. Yeah.
Where I don't know what Catherine's tastes are, and what style are you looking at?
Well, I think it's not like an opera because we do have scenes, and maybe in a way it's a little more old-fashioned, although we are planning a song with dialogue back and forth, cutting in and out, which I'm really looking forward to working on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a sung through musical. So it'll be scenes and songs sort of interwoven.
Not Hamilton.
Right, not Hamilton. I mean, Hadestown is it's just such a work of art. And I have so much respect for Anais Mitchell and what she's done there. But she's a great example of somebody who was a folk singer and sort of came in, wrote this folk opera essentially, but then in her book is fantastic. It sort of explores the lyrics and how each over this 10-year period of time where it was workshopped in multiple locations, she had to continue to change, adjust, and really change the characters to fit the musical theater mode and to make it so that the story really did resonate with an audience and that they wanted to empathize with the characters. So if I would love to have the music is influenced by sort of more indie folk songs from the 80s and 90s, and that's partly because like the main character, that's when her musical influence would have been set as a young adult and things like that. So that's what I'm going for, and it's probably would be categorized as modern day contemporary musical theater and not sort of classical musical theater. But we'll see what other people think about that. So yeah,
I just want to say that Kim is extremely talented and her music is beautiful. So it just thrills me. I'm not kidding. It really gives me goosebumps when I hear a new song.
Katherine, is this the first time you're working on a musical?
It's funny. I'm not a musician, but I did write a musical on my own with the book and the lyrics and the music. So,
wonderful.
Never got off the ground, but it was a great experience. And I just kind of, I can play the piano a little bit, and I just kind of picked my way through it, writing songs. But nothing like Kim, because she's a pro and very talented. So I feel very lucky to be working with her.
Yeah, well, it really was having Katherine's sort of experience, 20 years of helping to teach doctors how to take care of patients and how to communicate to patients. I mean, I couldn't in my wildest dreams have even picked a better person to write the book because she gets it. She gets it in a similar way that I get it, in terms of being sort of involved in the giving of care. So we're very lucky that we were able to find one another, and that this is something we both want to work on.
Wow.
Kismet.
This is just, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kismet, right, Ellen. Another musical. So what's the next step? Before we wrap it, as we look at the clock, where do you go from here?
Well, we keep plowing away at this. I mean, there's been a couple of things that I found that are helpful to me. Like I joined a little bit of like a writers group collaborative for the music part, and that's helpful because it gives me deadlines and song shares and feedbacks and stuff like that. So that's really helpful. And we meet regularly, and we're just moving the story along. And what I'm excited about, we're focusing on sort of having this, at least a complete draft, I think, by the end of the summer, early fall. And then I just think it will be so cool to be able to to hand it over to different people and say, what do you think? And just get some people to read it and hear it. Hopefully I'll have some demos, and then really start to figure out, is the story a good story? Did we write a good one? Are people really understanding it and feeling connected to it? So I'm excited to get to that place where we can start to understand that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on how far you guys have gotten so far, and best of luck as you continue writing.
Thank you.
Keep us posted. So when you're ready to play a little bit for us, we want to take a listen.
Okay, that sounds good.
Kim Kilby and Katherine Ambrosio. The musical is called Care, and we care. We're glad you could spend some time with us. It's exciting,
Yeah, thank you. We were humbled to be asked, and we appreciate you being interested in what we're doing.
Thanks so much.
Of course. And for our listeners, we'll catch you next week. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything,